shark is just tasting, I'll tell them. And all those who are gone, they can't tell you if it tasted. I'm thinking of Mathieu, for example.
Sharks, although rare, have always been part of the marine biotope of the Isle of La Réunion. Until recently, there was an average of 1 attack per year. But for the past 2 years, for unknown reasons, the rate has increased. 10 attacks have taken place, 5 of them fatal. It all started on Boucan Beach on June 15, 2011. Eddie Aubert, a bodyboarder aged 31, was killed here at the place known as Boucan. At 5:30 p.m., the last in the water, Eddie was going to ride one last wave when the shark attacked. Then, 3 months later, at the other end of the beach, Mathieu Schiller surfed his last wave. Former French champion and bodyboard instructor, Mathieu Schiller was a local figure on the surf scene. Despite the closeness of the beach, his body was never found. The evening he died, the surfers expressed their anger against the authorities.
The old folk of La Réunion didn't allow their kids to set foot in the water. I live on this land. Shout all you like, that's the truth.
What's going on? I've lived here 20 years. We've never had any problems.
I've lived here for 60 years.
So what? Do you know what's going on here?
It's my country, mister.
You have no idea what's going on.
In 30 years, there's never been an attack on the West Coast. Not 1 attack in 30 years, then 5 attacks in 4 months. They tell us it's our problem?
The attack on Mathieu Schiller tipped La Réunion into psychosis. The beach is emptied. The town of St. Paul set up flimsy and inadequate protective nets. People saw sharks everywhere. At locations on the west coast, not a day went by without a sighting. Soon the beaches of St. Paul were closed. Only the lagoon remained open. In the middle of the tourist season, the beachside economy was hit. Restaurateurs struggled. Surf clubs and diving clubs saw activity plummet. The whole of La Réunion was confined to land. In this climate of psychosis, juvenile sharks even had the temerity to venture along inlets to the heart of the towns, something not seen here in living memory. It was against this difficult context for the Isle of La Réunion that we decided to investigate what was behind these attacks, because now, in the eyes of the world, La Réunion had become Shark Island. These shark attacks cannot be just down to chance. There must be some rational explanation for the change in this animal's behavior. Our investigation starts in St. Paul, La Réunion's second largest town. It is located just 2 kilometers from Boucan Beach, where the latest fatal attacks took place. St. Paul is particularly under scrutiny for its fish farm and its polluting waste. The traditional fishermen are certainly best placed to tell us about the change in the shark's behavior.
Some 15 years ago, maybe more, I used to go play volleyball every Saturday afternoon along there, next to the nautical club. One day the sea was like this, dead calm. A guy showed up with a tennis ball and his dog. He threw the ball, the dog fetched it 2 or 3 times. At one point the dog stopped and barked. I swear, I saw a fin like that, 5 meters from the shore. Since then, I never set foot in the water. Before I'd go for a dip after playing volleyball, we'd go for a dip in the sea, but not anymore. I'm sure they came close to the shore, I'm certain. Because we catch tiger sharks 2.5, 3 miles out, and they've eaten loads of crap out there. Nets, tins, hair. Hairdressers throw stuff in the sea, all their crap, and the sharks come by. Where do they eat that? Out at sea? I don't think so.
You think the fish farm has to do with it?
Sure, that attracts sharks. To begin with, when they set that up, there were loads of bull sharks. Nothing but bull sharks everywhere. There's loads of crap and debris. The fish crap. It makes loads of stuff. They give them rabateau, which pollutes the seabed. Sharks live in a dirty environment. They come there to feed.
The first lead is tiger sharks and bull sharks. which are approaching the coast, attracted by the waste of human activity. But then events took over, when a man was attacked in a kayak. Suddenly, we're in the remake of Jaws. The kayakist was attacked by a shark when paddling at full speed. The force of the impact snapped the boat in two, sinking it. This time, there's no question of blaming the attack on the imprudence of surfers.
I saw the color of its skin. I remember it very well. Bluish gray, shiny, small eyes with a square nose. I'll remember it all my life. It's an image that's branded in my brain.
Jean-Pierre Castellani agrees to return to the site of the incident to explain how the shark attacked him. Tough moment to relive.
Here, it slid over the float. There was a bit of swell, so the float was well down, which allowed it to slide over it like a plank. And it came straight up here. The impact was here. He bit right here. It had two goes with his head. I saw two movements of the head. It really went for it. Just then, I wielded the paddle, and in one movement, boom, I struck. It was easy because it was within reach. Then it jerked violently to the left and went off. It dived, and that was when the float came up, and I capsized on the other side. I surprised myself by saying, no, I'm not going to die, not me. I don't want to die, especially not in the water. It's a tough moment.
Attacks on boats are very rare in the world, most of them attributed to tiger sharks. But in this case, Jean-Pierre describes a bluish-gray shark with small eyes, a description closer to that of a bull shark. To clarify the matter, we talked to Jerry von Greveling, one of the specialists tasked by the authorities with examining bite marks on victims. He did his medical thesis on shark attacks and knows the subject well.
The bite marks produced by a bull shark attack, unlike those of the tiger shark, these being the two main species incriminated locally, have the characteristic of being asymmetrical. If you look at the jaw of a bull shark, it's easy to see. The upper jaw will cause damage, which is not the same nature as that caused by the lower. The upper jaw has a triangular, finely serrated teeth and is very powerful. This leaves on the victim or surfboard a continuous line as observed in this photo. Whereas the teeth of the lower jaw are not very sharp and are quite widely spaced, which means we find a line in an arc with spaced perforations and lacerations, which with that width of bite reveals the signature, meaning a bull shark was involved. Unlike a tiger shark, which has teeth that are all the same, the upper and lower jaw being symmetrical. The first official reference to the presence of the bull shark dates to this photo from April 16, 1994, which illustrates a specimen captured at St. Joseph. As it happens, this specimen was given to me by the fisherman who caught it, because it contained a human arm that he found when he cut the animal open. We can state, without much risk of error, that the majority of incidents are attributable to the bull shark.
As incredible as it may seem, sharks have never been studied at La Réunion. Given the urgency of the situation, the state finally decided to finance a study with the help of the region of La Réunion. On October 18, 2011, the Shark Scientific Program was launched. The objective is ambitious, to tag and follow 80 sharks, 40 tigers, and 40 bull sharks. Thierry Gazzo is one of the fishermen employed for the study. But tagging is not the same as fishing, as Thierry, despite his experience, soon finds out.
The difficulty of the exercise is not fishing the way fishermen usually do, but to marshal the animal until the scientists arrive, when we hand it over to them. Then the fish is handled for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then they release it.
Thierry has just caught a tiger shark on a line. The clock is ticking. The team of scientists goes into action. Caught on a hook, a shark will soon die of asphyxiation because it can no longer swim to oxygenate its gills. So the scientists must work quickly to insert the transmitter.
Watch out for your hands.
3 meters 33. That's the biggest one.
Well done.
The team of scientists is steered in the field by Antonin Blaison, a young PhD student at the Institute of Research for Development. Antonin is on the front line for tagging operations. The most delicate part involves immobilizing the shark on its back, making an incision on the belly, then inserting the transmitter.
There are two ways to do it. You can put a tag on the outside or you can put it on the inside, as we've just done. We'd rather put them inside to avoid the transmitters coming off, which means we are then following a shark, which doesn't exist. So once it's in the abdominal cavity, we're sure that if we see a shark movement, it really is that shark, not a different shark which has swallowed the transmitter from another one, or just a transmitter which has come off and which is drifting.
Once the transmitter is in the abdomen, the cut has to be stitched up. But the animal's thick skin makes this a hard operation. And the hook must not be left in the shark.
We took it out. It's going away unharmed. It'll heal up quickly. It's not going away with that in its mouth. There she goes.
This female tiger, weighing nearly 400 kilos, heads off stunned into the depths with no idea that she is now under surveillance. The tag she is carrying will transmit for about 2 years until its battery dies. From now on, the whole west coast of La Réunion is under tight surveillance. In under just 2 months, 44 receivers have been installed along the 50 kilometers of shoreline. As soon as a tagged shark approaches closer than 500 meters, its signal will be identified and logged. The receivers have been positioned at a depth of 20 meters, mainly in the zone of the attacks, especially on the buoys that mark out the marine reserve. While the first data is being gathered, we head off to examine the fish farm cages in the Bay of St. Paul. Are they responsible for bringing the bull sharks near to the coast? Once there, seeing the frenetic activity of the thousands of fish, it's hard to think these cages do not attract sharks. This is the first time Pascal Paris, one of the farm's technicians, has talked publicly about the subject.
No, the sharks here are not attracted to the company's farming cages. That's completely untrue.
Are you sure?
Quite sure. You can even go a bit further. Today, after 2 years of operation, bull sharks are even deserting the Bay of St. Paul.
Diving below the cages and discovering this oasis of life in the middle of the bay nonetheless poses some questions. It's hard to believe the bull sharks wouldn't be drawn to this food source and have simply left the area. To get to the bottom of the issue, scientists from the Institute of Research for Development decide to monitor the cages. A camera is submerged to a depth of 30 meters for a month. Positioned 3 meters above the seabed on a tripod to avoid the water's high turbidity, it will film the comings and goings of visitors all day. The camera is connected to a computer on the surface which records the images. This will tell whether sharks frequent the area. Marine biologist Pascal Chabanet is responsible for monitoring the cages for a month.
It's true that the bull shark, which is the main species incriminated in the attacks we have in La Réunion at the moment, is a little-known species which has been very little studied. I've been diving for 20 years off La Réunion. I've never seen a bull shark. They're sharks which usually live near the seabed and which are quite timid, so we don't see them. As a result, it's very difficult to study them. And that's why I think that with this video, we're going to remove the presence of man to observe them with the camera. In my view, that's ideal.
The shark scientific program began a month ago, and while the tagging of the tiger sharks is progressing rapidly, no bull sharks have yet been caught. Thierry Gatso is discovering an adversary with hitherto unsuspected capacities.
The big chunks of bait are eaten by the sharks, but not the hooks. Where there's a hook, it doesn't bite. They're smart. They're devious.
To overcome this, the French Diving Federation brought in Fred Buille, a specialist in tagging sharks while freediving. The advantage of freedivers is that they can get closer to sharks than divers using bottles, whose bubbles scare the fish.